ripples and eddies, trout are rising over the mayfly, and the sun is shining down on the valley. Hope to be a fly fish till the day that I die. Spring has thawed out the long bitter winter. The water is clear and the skies are blue. I'm standing in the middle of the Beaverkill River. Might even catch and release one or two. Well, some folks like horses, cats or a dog. Me, I like fishing with a rod and a fly. Yes, fishing is a favorite pastime of mine. If I couldn't do it, I think I would cry. Well, life is good when I'm wading a river. It gets even better when I cast a fly. If I catch a trout, it don't really matter. It's fun just to be here and give it a try. Trout is rising in the far eddy. I make a false cast, then take my aim. If he takes the fly, I feel so much better. And if he doesn't, I'll feel no shame. Stoneflies and caddis and the ripples are plenty. Mayflies courting on fragrant breeze. And cedar wax wings come down from the heaven, wait for their dinner up in the pine trees. The water is cold and my waders leak, and it's raining now on my favorite stream. I'll bear it all, just fish with a feather, so when I sleep I will have a sweet dream. And life is good when I'm wading a river. It gets even better when I cast a fly. If I catch a trout, it don't really matter. It's fun just to be here and give it a try. Oh, ripples and waves, pools and eddies, trout are rising for the mayfly, and the sun is shining down on the valley. Hope to be a fly fish till the day that I die. Yes, I hope to be a fly fish till the day that I die. The perfection loop is made by making a loop and pinching it right there, wrapping around your thumb and pinch it, and then bring the tag end over and pinch it, reach through the one loop and pull the other loop through, and you get what's called a perfection loop. This tag end would be cut off right there. The perfection loop. The surgeon's loop. Start by making a fairly long loop in the line end, wrapping it through one time, and then you do it again and pull that tight. Get it nice and neat. And there's the perfection, or the surgeon's loop, similar to the perfection loop. And you use this to make loops in your leader material so you can do loop-to-loop connections. Perfection loop, surgeon's loop, a little bigger knot. To tie the blood knot, you take leader material of about the same thickness, and you use this knot to make leaders or to tie your tippet to the tip of your leader. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your two pieces of tippet material, tie a real quick overhand knot in the end. This just connects the two, holds them together. Then you push them together and make a loop like so. And then you take and wrap these two pieces together 4 or 5 times and pull the knot up through the hole, and then pull everything tight, and you end up with a nice blood knot. and this tag end here would be cut off. So that would be cut off right there. That's a blood knot. Used to make leaders, the blood knot with tippet material. We're going to take our tippet material and do our overhand knot. And you make your loop underneath. Okay, you got your loop underneath. Then you're going to wrap these around. Reach down, pull the knot up through the hole, and then pull all the ends tight at the same time. That gives you a nice knot, and you know it's right because the ends should make a loop. They shouldn't kink there. And then we're going to cut the tag off. That's your blood knot. This is used for making leaders. The surgeon's knot, used to tie two pieces of tippet together, or to make leaders, or to just add your tippet to a leader. Start by making a loop and pulling one end all the way through. So loop to loop there, and then do it again. And then pull this tight, and you get a surgeon's knot. These two tag ends would be cut off. Blood knot dropper is similar to the blood knot, except for you don't tie two ends together. You just make a loop in your leader material, wrap around 4 times, pull the loop up through, and pull the knot tight. That leaves you with a nice loop so that you can add a dropper off to that. Perfection loop, around, and pull this through. Pull it nice and tight and cut this tag off right here. Now to attach that to your loop that you made in your blood knot is you put the loop through and then pull it through the other loop, pull your leader through and pull it tight. It should look like a square knot. That's a loop-to-loop connection. And anytime you want to change flies, you just back it off and take your loop off and you're done. Now if you don't want this dropper here anymore, you can just cut these two ends off and you just simply have another blood knot in your leader material. No big deal. Hey folks, Curtis Mayfly here, and today's show, as of course you just saw lots of knots. A little film I did for the internet to teach people how to tie some of the knots. So I hope you recorded that and you use that to go over. It's also on my website. And my website is avkurt@mac.com/sites, capital S, and then /welcome with a capital W, and it's on the screen. My email is also avkurt@mac.com. Feel free to comment anything about the show. And last week's show was about Marcel Shale, and it featured our good friend Mr. Hinchy talking about that. Now, there's also a film out there called Kill the Drill. So I hope you watch that and enjoyed that as well. And it teaches you something. We're probably at the biggest crossroads for environmental protection as we ever have. I mean, up in Alaska, they're putting in the Pebble mine. This will be the largest copper mine, but with the price of gold going up so high, it will turn into a gold mine, and there's going to be ponds of cyanide and everything else. It's going to be the largest open pit mine in the world when they get it done, or started anyway, and it's going to be in the headwaters of the wild sockeye salmon populations up there in Alaska. So here in the east, we got drilling, and you're going to hear a lot about this because it's a mess. It's simply a mess. If you go to Google Earth and look at Wyoming, you can see the areas that they've drilled wells for hydrofracking, and the ponds are still sitting there. It's been several years now. These ponds are still sitting there with toxic chemicals in it, and you can see this from space practically. You know, at least pretty high up there. And if you zoom in on Google Earth, I'm sure you'll enjoy finding those locations in Colorado, Arkansas, Missouri, Texas, Pennsylvania, and what's the other one? Wyoming. You can see this stuff from space, and that's what it's going to look like here. So today's show, we're going to get into fly tying now, and so today's show we're going to feature a trico, which is a size 22 fly. It's typically used in the summers in August. Right about 9 o'clock, there's a trico. It's not a hatch. It's the tricos hatch at night. So all the flies for the trico are spinners. So you have to be able to tie a spinner to imitate many different hatches, and this is a good way on how to do that. So enjoy the show today, and here's to the trico. And let's talk to the mako.
New York City has the world's largest unfiltered water supply. Right now, the natural gas industry wants to drill in our watersheds. The process is called hydraulic fracturing. It uses over 900 chemicals injected under the ground, combined with explosives that cause mini earthquakes to extract the gas. But the process hasn't been proven safe. Watersheds across the nation have been contaminated with plastics, carcinogens, mutagens, and endocrine-disrupting chemicals, and with explosive natural gas. Whoa! This cannot be allowed to happen here. Join Scott Stringer, Manhattan Borough President's Kill the Drill campaign, because we can't drink natural gas, and because there's no New York without New York water.
And that to me is the most alarming environmental news I've heard in a long time, and makes this the #1 environmental crisis that we face in the city.
A message from Scott Stringer, Manhattan Borough President, and waterunderattack.com. For more information, go to waterunderattack.com and click on Kill the Drill. Or
Size 22 trico. I'm going to use black thread. I'm going to tie that on the hook. I'm going to make a loop here and bring the extra thread up over the hook. I'm going to pinch that and wrap it. I'm going to take my microfibers, just a few of those. You don't need a lot. It's a tiny fly. Size 22, we're going to measure that, trim it. And tie that on. You're going to pinch and then hold and pull up to tighten it. If you pull down to tighten it, it will wrap around the hook, and you don't want that. You want that material to stay right on top. Now we're going to try, this is a tricky part, we're going to try to divide that wing material, pull it forward, pull that thread forward, and then wrap this around that. So we get a fairly nice split tail effect right there. See that? We're going to wrap that thread up for the body, up to where we're going to start the wings. The wing material is pretty simple. It's just a very small amount of poly compare post material, and I use white. My scissors aren't cutting very good today. And I'm going to pinch that and wrap that around, tie it on there good and tight, right about at the shoulder of the hook. And then I'm going to try to split this with my scissors into 2 bunches. Okay? 2 bunches that are equal. And I'm going to tie one off on one side with figure 8s. I'm going to tie the other off on the other side so that they come straight out. Okay? It's like a rusty spinner, only black and much, much smaller. Okay? Here's our wings. Now we're going to take a very small amount of black dubbing, and we're just going to use little parts of that. We're just going to dub that on there. Spin that right around the thread. Nothing unusual about that. Maybe a little more. We want this thorax to look nice. If you actually look at the trico, he's got a beefy thorax. We're going to wrap this around those wings in a figure 8 pattern, if we can, and wrap up to the eye. And you can do a whip finish, you can do a half hitch, whatever you want to do. And I typically will put a little bit of super glue right on that dubbing, or on that thread, not the dubbing. I'm going to pull my wings straight up, and I'm going to nip them off right about the length of the shank, and they're going to stick out sideways like that. There you go. Your trico is done.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.